Hello, greetings, beloved. This is This Evening on Togetherness Media. I'm Anthony Powers, and we have a beautiful, beautiful show for you today. We have with us the insightful, wonderful Coach Bonnie. We'll be talking about masculine and feminine energy. And let's get to some music, and we'll come back with Coach Bonnie in a moment. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's go to Coach Bonnie now. My Bonnie flies over the ocean. My Bonnie flies over the sea. I'm so happy to have my Coach Bonnie with me.
Hello, Anthony. How are you? So good to be with you again.
I'm overjoyed to have you.
Same, same.
How are you this wonderful, wonderful day?
Doing very well. Productive day, beautiful day. And I'm
Nice.
ready to talk about masculine and feminine energy. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Let's do it. Let's do it. So, how would you like to start the topic? Please lead us off with some of your beautiful insight.
Sure, sure. So, when we talk about masculine and feminine energy, usually people associate it with gender, if they're female or if they're male. Uh, the feminine and masculine energy has nothing to do with gender.
Mm-hmm.
Although typically males have tends to have more of a masculine energy and women tends to have more of a feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases it's absolutely the reverse, and we see some females with a lot more masculine energy and men with more feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about these energies, when we go down and explain how each one works and what the characteristic of each one is, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need to have both in ourselves.
Yes.
Uh, we definitely need to have some masculine energy as women, and men definitely need to have some feminine energy in them.
That yin
And
yang.
absolutely, absolutely. And what happens during our time as children, more so in Middle Eastern cultures and some actually in Western cultures too, when we have a boy, we tend to uh, buy trucks or uh, give them that notion that men need to be strong. Men don't cry. If we see a little boy crying, we say, "Don't be a sissy. Boys don't cry. Tough it up. Be strong." And on the other side, when girls want to play with boy toys, they are told that they're tomboys, or girls don't do that. Girls need to be sensitive and nice and beautiful, and they
Mm-hmm.
hand us a doll to play with the doll. So from the get go, from the start, we tend to uh, kind of kill one of our energies inside of
Mm-hmm.
us. We don't put too much attention to it because we were brought to think that females need to have more of a feminine energy and men definitely need to have more of a masculine energy.
Yeah.
Now,
I always
and it,
I always say that it's important to have both. Like I always talk so much about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and how it's so essential to have both in your life, to be able to tap in to both of those energies to fully tap into creation.
absolutely, absolutely. And when we are in balance, when we
Uh-huh.
have in any kind of relationship, when we are in a romantic relationship, it becomes super important to first of all understand these energies and to understand how to balance these energies in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Masculine energy is very decisive. They like to take action. Uh, when they make decisions, they like to make decisions fast. They like to fix things. We've seen it a lot. And men, when something is broken or something is wrong, they want to fix it for us,
Mm-hmm.
for the females, and they want that acknowledgement of that I'm your hero. They love it. They love it when they are acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
When we tell them, "Oh, honey, you did a great job. This was so wonderful. Thank you for doing this." So they like to be acknowledged, and they like to make decisions very fast. And another thing about masculine energy is that uh, their thought process is kind of linear. Words, they tend to, they're analytical, very analytical, and they tend to pay more attention to words rather than emotions. So if you want to be successful in your relationship, be very straightforward to your partner, to your male partner. That means that when you want something, don't go around the bush and kind of cover it. What is it that you want? Like if you're thirsty, don't and you want a glass of water, don't say, "Honey, I'm so thirsty," because men usually take it as, "Oh, okay, she's thirsty." It doesn't translate that she's thirsty. Now she wants a glass of water. For most men, because they take things literally. It's a linear mindset.
For that,
So
I always assume like for that one, I think it's more of like a level of empathy levels. Because even sometimes a lot of women, like men or women, like depends on how empathetic they are as how they pick up on those cues on
exactly.
cues like that.
So empathy, very good point. Empathy is a feminine energy characteristic.
Hmm.
Feminine energy is very empathetic. It's very caring, very nurturing. We create life, so the feminine energy is the creator of life.
Hmm.
They love to be. Uh, they love to give love. They are all about uh, spreading love, spreading nurture, and be grounded and supportive. So that empathy that you're talking about, if the male has more empathy than most other men, that means that they are in touch with their feminine energy side. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. And as again, so the masculine is analytical, independent. They like to be free. They don't like to be in put in a box. And uh, another difference between the male and the female energy is that, as we said, male energy is very linear, and female energy is very stormy. You've seen that most women, sometimes women are labeled as moody.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's not because it's because at any given moment in a female's mind, in a female energy dominant mind, the mind is going so many different directions. So
Hmm.
if you imagine the male energy mind as a linear line, the woman energy, it's like a coin. It's like all over the place. So that is why 1 minute we are happy, we're joyous, we're bouncing and we're dancing, and the next minute we're sad and we are into ourselves. It's not because necessarily you did something, it's because the mind travels all over the place. It picks up memories and it's like, oh, now I'm sad. Now I'm remembering this by listening to this song. Now I remember this sad situation. Now I'm sad. So their mind moves a lot faster and more vigorously. So
Hmm.
those are the main differences. The male is left brain, female right brain, fire versus water. Now, specifically in a relationship, let's see if we have time how these energies work with each other.
Okay.
Because ultimately what we want to get is to be in that balance of feminine and masculine energy. Okay,
Hmm.
now in a relationship, in any relationship, heterosexual, homosexual, lesbian relationship, doesn't matter, if the energies are not balanced, four things can happen. So imagine if both partners have extreme feminine energy as their most dominant energies.
Hmm.
Okay, that so if we consider the energies on a line like a magnetic pole, okay, what we want to have is to have these energies somewhere in the middle on either side of the pole.
Mm-hmm.
Once these energies are on one side of the pole, they become on the same side of the pole, then imbalance starts in the relationship. So if
Mm-hmm.
two people in a relationship have a very dominant female energy, what happens is that that relationship becomes kind of stagnant. Decision making becomes very difficult. It kind of, I hate to say it, but it becomes almost a boring relationship because
Mm-hmm.
nothing exciting, nothing passionate happens. These two can have deep conversation with each other. On the other hand, intimacy is not that great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you imagine that same pole again, and then we have an extreme masculine and an extreme feminine on each side of the pole, what happens is that in that relationship, passion is really high. It's a fiery relationship. It's mostly physical. Physical attraction is really high. That's where the sex is really great.
But they have
But in
harder
that,
time relating to each other on a deeper level because they can't see where each other are
exactly.
coming from.
Exactly. The deeper connection is missing in that
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Physical is great, but deeper connection, deeper communication is missing.
Which is one reason sometimes where women will love the bad boys who are pretty much all the masculine energy, but those relationships usually don't last just because.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. In the beginning, it's the perfect picture. You know, the physical attraction is there, the chemistry is there, the passion is there. But once you get into a relationship, there's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the most traction of the relationship scenario in relationship to the energies is when the the energies are both masculine, two dominant masculine energies. That's when the butt heading starts. That's
Mm-hmm.
when uh, being in control and wanting to be right and always wanting to have the last word becomes very important to
The
you.
power struggle.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So I think the most dangerous of all these scenarios is the two masculine, dominant masculine energies on one side of the equation. It
Mm-hmm.
constantly arguing, constantly getting frustrated at each other, constantly wanting to prove a point to the other person. It's always a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the most ideal one, that's where we want to get everyone into that balance, is where the masculine and the feminine energies in each partner is balanced. That
What
means
happens when they're
that
both feminine? What happens when both energies are feminine?
when that was the first one. So when both are feminine, the relationship is kind of stagnant. It's
Okay.
kind of boring. It's very undecisive. Couples can't decide. Honey, you decide where we go for dinner. No, you decide where we go for dinner. I really don't care where we go. Oh, I don't care either. So
Is there a
there's
lot of
always
emotional instability in those as well?
uh, emotional
Instability.
instability. I would, in a way, because in that relationship, the couple have a hard time expressing their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they both want to be supportive, they both want to be accommodating, so they shy away from being assertive
Mm-hmm.
and expressing feelings. So in a way, yes, you're right.
So, one of the ways I've always looked at divine masculine and divine feminine, I'm a huge student of spiritual sciences from around the world, and I'm a huge student of etymology. And I look at the cryptology of all these different cultures. For instance, the Ankh, if you know the Ankh, the Kemetic or Egyptian Ankh, it's feminine on the top, masculine on the bottom. So it's the combination of the divine masculine, the divine feminine. And even the yin yang symbol is masculine on one side, feminine on the other. A lot of the ancient holy names for God in a lot of religions, Allah, Al is masculine, La is feminine. Together, they come together to make the full. Eli, in the Hebrew system, El is masculine, the Lai is feminine.
Allies, the female, yes.
Yeah, to come together. So that teaches us, based on all of these different spiritual cultures, that you need the masculine and feminine together, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, to reach your full level of self divinity and of self God. Even like the original Trinity, the original Holy Trinity was Father, Son, Sophia, who was the goddess of wisdom. So I always say, when men tap into the wiser a man gets, and the more he taps into his into divine wisdom, the more he's tapping into his divine femininity.
Exactly. Beautifully said. Yes. Most of these spiritual symbols, uh, they knew about balance. They knew about the feminine and the masculine energy, and how they need to come together to form one magical union. And that's what we are seeking in our relationship, to have that balance within us, the masculine and feminine, and so does our the partner. And that is when we are able to balance these energies in our relationship, that is when we lift each other up. That's when we inspire each other to be better. That's when we get awakened spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to higher levels. We help each other rather than shrink each other. We allow each other to thrive. So that's the magical relationship for each partner, to be aware when to use the masculine energy and when to use the feminine energy.
I have a question. How can somebody tell how balanced their masculine and feminine energies are? And once they know how balanced they are, if they're off balance, how can they find more balance between their masculine and feminine energies?
So if you are more of a masculine energy, I invite you to get in touch with your feelings. The best way to become aware of your feminine energy is to be able to, first of all, identify emotions and be able to express them. Okay? Once we are able to do that, then empathy starts to cultivate within us. So little things that we can do to slowly get in touch with that feminine energy. Take a nature walk, get grounded, take your shoes off, and be on grass. Hug a tree, and become one with nature. Little things that can have a profound effect and shift the feminine energy within you.
By the way, people,
Don't
when
be
you hug a
afraid.
tree, ask for consent first. In this world and time, you don't want to get sued by the tree. So when you hug the tree, ask for consent first.
And wear a mask when you hug the tree. And then if you're a masculine, and if you're a feminine, do little tasks. Make a decision, become assertive. And those are ways that, as coaches and therapists, we can support the client by giving them tasks, by giving them tools to become a little bit more of.
We lost a connection for a second. So in the meantime, to fill everybody where we're at, Coach Bonnie is talking about masculine and feminine energies and how to tap into both and to make sure that you're a part of both. It's so essential to find that balance. And I believe Coach Bonnie is back. Are you back, Coach Bonnie?
I'm back.
I missed you so much in just in those few moments. I didn't know I could miss somebody that much that fast. I'm like, where did Bonnie go? I need her back in my life. That balance. We're a good team balancing together. All right,
Yes.
so you were talking about some of the ways that people with more masculine can tap into more feminine, and people with more feminine could tap into being more masculine. So you said, men, feel your emotions, spend a little bit more time in nature, take a walk, hug a tree, ask for consent first, and for women, be more assertive,
Not for
find little
women.
find
Not for
people
women,
people with
not
feminine
for
energy,
men.
not just women, people with more feminine energy, be more assertive, find tasks to do that will give them that sense. As a community, how can we better foster and nurture um, the divine masculine and the divine feminine in people that don't necessarily have those genders?
Yeah. It's a very good question because nowadays, especially in our the climate of where we are right now, uh, I would say masculine energy is dominating because everyone is butting head. We are very divided. We are fighting constantly. We are not getting in touch with our heart chakra. We're not grounded. It's just power struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So as a nation, our planet really needs that feminine energy, that nurturing energy, that love needs to come back, and just practice being good. If we can do this one person at a time, I think we can get to that point that finally love wins, and
Mm-hmm.
that nurturing energy needs to overcome the masculine uh, power struggle that we are seeing right now. It's a shame that we see so much division, so much uh, for lack of a better term, black and white. It's the two extremes. It's either this or it's either that. We need to come to the middle,
One
exactly
example.
like the pole and the energy equation. We we don't survive on either of the extremes. We need to come to the middle.
I have a question. There's an issue that's really perplexed me for a minute. I have lots of female friends, and they'll have groups of female friends that they're part of, and they're all best friends. And then, like a few months later, or like a year later, none of them talk to each other anymore. And whereas my guy friends, I found that they stay friends for longer amounts of times and don't let as many petty issues separate them. What parts of the masculine and feminine energies do you think create these issues between groups of friends where my male friends are able to stay friends and don't let petty issues separate them, and my a lot of my female friends let the smallest thing separate them from each other?
Yes, so that's very, very good question. That yes, I do see that amongst my circle of friends as well. So but going back to the energies, men usually forgive a lot faster. They
Mm-hmm.
forget. Yeah, and that's why usually when you have a fight with your partner, the next day the woman remembers exactly what happened. With the remember we talked about the linear versus the coil
Mm-hmm.
mind. That's where it comes from. Female energy has a harder time to forget. She remembers. That energy remembers from 25 years ago what you were wearing when you told me that my hair didn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that stormy energy, that stormy mood swing that does that. You 1 minute you are good, 1 minute you remember something else, and it's the ability or the not the ability to be able to forgive and forget is where that energy is getting stuck at.
And I've also
So
found that sometimes they read like that they remember, but the way that they sometimes remember things aren't exactly the way that they happen. That their emotions will recreate and change some of the events and some of the words to justify the emotions. The emotions will be justified by the recreation of events in a way that they didn't exactly happen, but a way that justifies how they felt.
okay, that's a different topic, but I'm gonna touch on it a little bit. Not even two people on this planet can witness the same experience, or can
Mm-hmm.
feel the same experience and have the same meaning for that
Mm-hmm.
experience based upon our past experiences, past memories, culture, upbringing. When I see an event, when something happens to me, exactly the same thing happens to you, we totally give it different meanings.
Mm-hmm.
What you saw and what I saw from the outside looks the same, but
Mm-hmm.
when it goes inside and gets internalized, then different meanings comes out of it. Okay, so and emotions are not good or bad, right
Hmm.
or wrong. Emotions are just emotions.
They're a tool.
Yeah, they're just the way that it's telling your body and it's telling us what is happening inside, what is triggering you, what causes this trigger, what is this emotion mean to you. So most in that case, it's not that they are exaggerating the event. It's just that the emotion or the feeling behind it is exaggerated because of their past experiences.
So, do you recommend that in certain that people in these type of when there's miscommunications later on to come back? How did you perceive what happened? And from your eyes, what was your perspective? How do you like in your mind what happened and how do you see it? Because I think that that's not a. Some people are so oftentimes focused on how they see events that they don't take time to pay attention to how the other person saw the exact same event.
True, true. So this is when we become assertive, when communication is very important. We talk about our feelings, what came up for me, what meaning I gave to this event or this conversation, and the other person needs to be non-judgmental. Usually we say, oh, that wasn't a big deal, or you're overreacting, or you're exaggerating, why are you being so dramatic, or you're whatever,
Hmm.
a drama queen. Allow the other person to express their feelings without the fear of being judged.
Hmm.
Allow them to be vulnerable, allow them to feel safe so that they can communicate with you what is going on with them.
So another thing, I'm going to go back to the spiritual aspect. I think one huge reason why feminine energy isn't respected and utilized, and is such a part of culture now as it was in historical times, is that in past times there were multiple goddesses that represented divine feminine energy. Even now, I spoke about the Ankh, how it's the feminine on the top and masculine on the bottom. The cross is masculine on top and masculine on the bottom. So there's like for most spiritual cultures and a lot of the spiritual religions around the world right now, there is not enough true representation of divine femininity for people to tap into and to fully appreciate. So since divine femininity isn't appreciated the same way, then femininity doesn't get the same respect and love it's supposed to get currently.
Absolutely. And I think one reason behind it is the play with words. Because it's called feminine energy, it's associated with the gender, female gender. And throughout this history, in all cultures, basically, females were treated inferior. They were not as strong as men, they were not as good as men, they were not good providers as men. So females by gender were put on, not degrading, but they were not superior, they were inferior to men. And I think that's why the confusion with the female energy comes from, that they associate it with the gender. But as we said, these energies have nothing to do with gender.
Hmm.
And that's why in masculine energy, in males, that the masculinity is heightened, but the femininity is shrunk. It's not as strong.
And I find also sometimes women who have strong masculine energies, sometimes society has has the derelict behavior of giving them negative names as well. Um,
Exactly.
and like
Exactly.
and it's such a shame, and the same thing for men, like men who have extra feminine energy or women who have more masculine energy, seems like they both get ostracized and treated wrong in a certain sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes, very true. And and it needs to become normalized. It needs to
Hmm.
become kind of like mainstream, that it's okay for men to show emotion, and it's okay for women to be strong, to be leaders. They not just because they're strong, it didn't mean that they slept with the whole football team to get to where they are, or they're not. And we hear it all the time. When a woman is strong and very assertive and knows what she wants, she's called the B word.
Hmm. I find it's interesting too that one of the only sectors of society that it's truly accepted or accepted to a larger degree is usually through our artists. Musicians, musicians can have that blend. Like Prince is the perfect example. I can't understand human curiosity. Like controversy, like talking about. So like there's that feminine Michael Jackson, that combination between masculine and feminine. Madonna, that combination between masculine and feminine. It's respected more and accepted more in our artists, but not in our everyday life for people who aren't in the arts.
Exactly, exactly. In arts, absolutely, and music, it's more accepted, but in everyday life, it's still a taboo to have, for a woman to have a lot of masculine energy, and for a man to have a lot of feminine energy.
So, what
Very
are
true.
some of the things that people could do with their children? You started the subject talking about children. What are some of the things that parents could do with their children? What are some of the things that people could do in their office with their employees, with their coworkers, with their teams? What are some of the ways that people can really promote and make it a safe environment for people to tap in and explore both?
For children, I would say very strongly avoid gender colors. Don't buy pink for your girl and don't buy blue for your boy. Uh, Buy neutral colors. By doing that, you're just labeling them. You're a boy, you're a girl. You have to act a certain way and you have to act a certain way. You have to be strong, you have to be feminine, you have to be nice, you have to be beautiful, you have to be sexy. So we are subconsciously giving these messages to our kids as as soon as they're born. I mean,
Or if you do
you
give them
don't.
blue and pink. Just don't cut
Oh,
them off
why
to
even
one.
yellow? Why
Yeah.
even white? Gray? I mean, it doesn't have to. Or even if it's a girl, why not? She can wear blue.
Yeah, give them
Boys can
both.
wear pink. Yeah, and toys. Oh my God! When I remember last year, I went. My niece just had a baby, and I went to buy her uh, a neutral toy.
Hmm.
Because I know that in our family we don't necessarily specifically say, you're a boy, you need to be a certain way, you're a girl, you need to be a certain way. And I went, I don't remember exactly where I went, but I remember walking down the aisles and they were like boy toys, girl toys. Boy toys were all wrapped in blue, trucks, guns, even the little small stuffed animals were like either boy color or girl color. And I was like stunned, like to this day, we are separating girls and boys by color, by saying that, you know, you have to be this way, you have to be that way. So let that go. Let that go. I mean, buy boys dolls. Give your daughter a truck to play with. It's not going to change their sexuality.
Hmm.
It's just going to allow them to explore, to become creative in their own ways and see what suits them.
Yeah, I remember years ago, like my little cousin Jacob, he had his daughter. I was gonna like his wife. They wouldn't allow me to buy them Barbies. Like they're like no, yeah, like our daughter's not gonna have Barbies, and it was like a whole. It was the whole thing. I was like, okay, I respected it. So like I ended up getting her something educational that would teach her. I forget what I got her. I got like some kind of gift that was more on the educational side that will stimulate her mind. But yeah, that was one of the first couples that I really saw um, deny that type of toy for their child. Um,
Yeah.
are there any other things that we do as far as children or co-workers that do that? And what are the keys for us really helping understand each other and understanding the divine masculine and feminine between the two, so that if I have more masculine energy and somebody else has more feminine energy, or if I have more feminine energy and somebody else has more masculine energy, what are the ways that we can really come together and get past those differences to understand each other? Because like you said, we look at things in different ways. And even though I'm very tapped into my empathy and emotion, I understand how to balance it. And I have some friends who aren't quite as sure on how to balance those things. So how can we get through to each other in those situations?
I think simply said, it's by not having judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Allow people to be who they are. Love them for who they are. If a man wants to uh, cry when you are out into the movies and you're watching the movie, don't make fun of him. Hey, Sissy. Allow
Mm-hmm.
them to feel, to express their feelings. I think one thing that we do as people, we judge people a lot. We have so many judgments for everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not like me, then they must be labeled this way.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't agree, if I don't agree with what they are doing or saying or behaving, then I'm going to put them in this box and label them X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. I always
I
say
think
we've been commanded to love, not to judge. That's our
absolutely.
job. Our only job is to love. We'll leave judgment to others. Judge not, lest ye be judged. But we are commanded to love unconditionally, and so that the judgment will go. What you call it? If we just love the right way, if we just
Yes,
love each other truly, then nothing else will truly matter.
very good. I love that. I enjoy talking to you, Anthony.
I enjoy talking to you so much, Bounty, and I love you so much. And thank you for all of your beautiful insight, all of your
Thank
beautiful
you.
wisdom, and thank you for being such a beautiful balance between masculine and feminine energy. So you have an amazing, amazing marriage with a very wise man. Like you guys are such a wise, insightful couple. How do you guys balance that masculine and feminine energy?
So, uh, I, that's a tough question. I mean, I mean, we do have a good relationship. We do have a loving marriage. Although it's not always loving, we do
Yes.
fight, we
Yes.
argue, but we know how to maneuver through the tough times together. So I think that's the key to a happy relationship. We don't hold grudges because we value the relationship more than the need for each of us to be right.
So I know you
Okay?
guys have a lot of recreational things that we like. One of the things like in the Wheel of Well-being is recreational health. Do you find that doing different activities together that may be steered towards the masculine and may be steered to the feminine really helps maintain that balance?
It does. So in the beginning of, I mean, I have a lot of, as a female, I have a lot of masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when, uh, without realizing what was happening, we would headbutts. I wanted to do a certain thing this way. He wanted to do it a certain way that way. So what happened was that we set kind of agreements and boundaries.
Mm.
So we each know what our responsibilities are, and
Mm-hmm.
if yes, and my husband actually has a lot of feminine energy, and
Mm-hmm.
he's very in touch with his emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a lot of empathy. So
Yes.
we kind of learned to dance between the two.
Mm-hmm.
When he is expressing his feminine energy, I am very receptive, and when I express my masculine energy in workplaces, he's very receptive to that. We
Okay.
weren't always like this. We would again butt head that he wanted to do it a certain way, I wanted to do it a certain way, and through the years, through schooling and through different going to therapies ourselves, we learned that it's like give and take. Okay, it's like a waltz, a dance of waltz that you sometimes you lead, yeah, and you follow. It's okay
Yes.
to follow sometimes. You
Yes.
don't have to lead in a relationship all the time. Sometimes you need to allow your partner to lead, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need to follow. There's again no. bad or good, right or wrong. It's
Mm-hmm.
just getting into yin and yang and the dance between the two energies. And I think that's what we found that is the secret to our long and happy
Healthy.
marriage, actually.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
healthy
so
marriage.
much for this dance. Thank you for dancing with me today and dancing with me in this beautiful conversation between masculine and feminine. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, Coach Bonnie?
Yes, my website is bonniesadiq.com, and I would love, 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 love if you can follow me on Instagram, Coach Bonnie NLP.
Coach Bonnie NLP on Instagram. Make sure to follow Coach Bonnie. Make sure to check out her website. This woman has so much knowledge, so much information, and she is there to give you the personal help you need, the personal help you desire, to help you find that balance between masculine and feminine energy and all kinds of other things she can help you with. You see how wise this woman is, and we are so thankful for her. I love you, Coach Bonnie, and I can't wait
I
to our
love
next
you.
conversation.
You make this so easy, smooth, and beautiful. Thank you so much for who you are.
Thank you.
Beautiful life.
Likewise.
Raise
Talk
your
to you soon.
vibration and re engage with life. Find balance and reconnect with joy. Your vehicle is balancing the wheel, and we're here to support you in becoming more happier, healthier, and successful. wheelofwellbeing.com or drsadiq.com.